everyone.
Good morning. We're actually at Portugal Cove once again. It's kind of our getaway spot or where we can just get a couple of days of beautiful scenery. You can see the ocean behind us, probably less than 30 meters away. And it's also a good spot for us to do reviews like what we're doing right now. So today we wanted to chat about our top 5 trips from last year. We had a couple people ask about that. So we've actually had our van now for about 1 year. And we've done a number of trips across southern British Columbia primarily. We've skirted the border into Alberta briefly. And actually someone once described our videos as Western Canada tourism videos, which we took as a compliment.
So we mainly stayed at provincial campgrounds and a few private campgrounds, and we have boondocked at driveways of a couple of our friends.
Largely off-grid most of the time. Winter camping, and when we're at a place like Porto, we like to plug in simply because it's easier to keep our van warm. So with that, we thought we'd first we'll share some of the area that we pulled into last night. So we'll just give you some video just of the beautiful Portugal Cove area and our arrival last night, and then we'll walk through what we think are our top 5 trips from last year. So number 5, we were talking about it because there's so many places that we've enjoyed in the trips that we've done, and number 5 is probably the only one that we were kind of debating. And then I think it became fairly clear. Number 5 for us was Juan de Fuca Provincial Park on the southern part of Vancouver Island, and absolutely spectacular. So you're camped very close, within a kilometer or so of the ocean. And you can hike. There's actually the Juan de Fuca hiking trail that's there that goes on for a number of kilometers. Mickey can, we'll put that in the video.
Over 40 kilometers.
Yeah, it's quite a distance. And we hiked maybe 3.5 hours one way and 3.5 hours back, kind of thing, all along a trail that goes along the coast and through some old growth forest in some sections. And it's truly spectacular, absolutely beautiful. Campground's really nice. Again, like most BC provincial parks, you have quite a good sense of isolation, lots of space between the camping spots. We really enjoyed it there. The beach was fantastic. It was a bit hazy when we were there, some smoke from the summer fires, but just a really nice experience, and quite a remote feeling actually, considering you're not that far from the major city of Victoria. It was really pleasant.
Yeah, of the 4 beaches that we visited during our trip, I was saying that maybe one of the nicest was probably the one that was connected to the campground, and it's a 1 kilometer walk, hike, a bit of stairs there, but it's a nice trail down to the beach, and it's called Second Beach, and that's a beautiful beach, and there aren't that many people on that beach. It's mostly for people who are staying at the campground, because the next big beach, which is China Beach, is the Deus area, which is 1 beach over, and that one was a little bit busier, but Second Beach was just beautiful.
Yeah, and if you look at that video that we did, it was absolutely spectacular. What's it? 4 beaches and a wedding, I think. Yes. It was, because we were actually on Vancouver Island for a wedding, and
we'll put a link.
And then we went there. So number 4 is Strathcona Provincial Park, which is also on Vancouver Island. Absolutely spectacular. When we were there in the summer that we talked about earlier, there was a lot of smoke in the area because of some of the forest fires, either in the United States or in British Columbia. So it was a little bit hazy when we were there, but it's absolutely spectacular. I think Mickey described it as a gem. Beautiful water, lake, so you've got some paddling.
There's 2 campgrounds at Strathcona Provincial Park. The one we stayed at is Ralph River, and it was beautiful. And I'm sure the other one, which is on the lake, and I can't remember the name of it, but I'm sure is spectacular as well.
A lot of hiking trails, some easy little 15-minute hikes to some beautiful waterfalls to full-on alpine adventures for the day. And we're really looking forward to going back there and doing some more, particularly some hiking in the area.
And very remote, very wild. If you want to get away from people, that's probably the place to go.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's actually probably the most remote feeling provincial park that we've been to yet. Now, there are others in BC that I'm sure are far more remote, particularly if we went up into northern BC. But yeah, just an amazing place. It's positive and negative. In terms of getting there, it's also a bit of a journey. You have to take a ferry to Vancouver Island, and then it's again a fairly long drive from there to, you've got to go up to Campbell River and then across to the park. But it's a beautiful drive, just absolutely spectacular. And we enjoyed the drive. Well, we would have enjoyed it more if it wasn't quite so smoky, to be honest. And normally, hopefully, that won't be the case. So just a great, wonderful place. We really are looking forward to getting back there. I would actually put Manning Park as number 3. Manning Park is a provincial park. What we like about Manning Park is it's very accessible. So it's probably a 2.5-hour drive from where we live. And you can kind of do everything there. You can paddle. There's endless hiking trails. Just gorgeous. You can simple hikes around the lakes, or you can get up in the mountains and see some beautiful alpine. It's just a gorgeous area, and it's a place that we like to go to primarily because there is that diversity, and also it's there's four different campgrounds, and I would say that with the 4 different campgrounds, there's lots of choices of places to camp. Probably the most popular is the Lightning Lakes campground because it's close and it has shower facilities. But there's 3 others, and they're all great. And there's some of them have hiking trails leading right from the campground. Others you'd have to get and drive for 5 minutes to get to some of the other trails. In terms of any negative, I think with regard to Manning Park would actually just be that there's a couple of the campgrounds other than Lightning Lake. The campgrounds, they're all nice. The spots are great places to park in your RV. It's just that in some of the other campgrounds, if you're not fortunate to get a site that's farther away from the highway, you're going to be kind of close to the highway. So you get a little bit of highway noise. It's not going to be busy at night, but during the day it could be a little bit loud. There are lots of sites in those other campgrounds that you're either farther away from the road or you're close to a river. And if you're able to get one of those spots, then it's actually a great place to be.
And also for 2 of the campgrounds, Hampton and Mule Deer, those 2 campgrounds are a little bit further away from the main Manning Park resort area, and there aren't that many hiking trails that are sort of within walking distance from those 2 campgrounds. So you would have to get in your car, motorhome, or your truck and drive to the hiking trails or drive to the resort for a meal. But the Manning Park Resort actually is great because you can get breakfast, lunch and dinner at the restaurant or the pub, and they also have a nice cafe that you can get a coffee, pre-made sandwiches and baked goods and things like that. And they also have a little store that sells wine, beer, and some of the little necessities that you might need for camping. Usually
in our trip, if we're there for a few days, we'll stop in once for one meal, and as Mickey said, we may also, if we haven't brought what we needed, we can pop in there and get something to if we've forgotten some food or something to drink or something, we're able to stop in there, and so that's really accessible.
And the Lightning Lakes and I believe the Hampton campgrounds do have showers. And the other option for showering as well is at the Manning Park Resort. I think you pay $5 and you can go to their fitness center and shower there as well.
Yeah, again, we will use camp facilities if they're close and available. Otherwise, we just simply use our washroom here and shower here.
Number 2, almost tied with number 1, is, and really we had a hard time trying to decide which one was better, was Pacific Rim National Park. And we stayed at the Greenpoint campground, and you can make reservations for the campground. One of the reasons why we really love Tofino, Long Beach, and Vancouver Island, it is the access to the ocean and the beautiful, beautiful scenery of the west coast of Canada. So
the campground's right between Tofino and Ucluelet. Great sandy beaches. There are some hikes that you could drive to, but primarily the beach you can just literally hike for hours. That's what we did, and we really enjoyed it. In terms of anything negative about it, we really don't have a lot to say. I'd say the biggest concern is just if you want to go to that park, you probably are going to need reservations, and reservations fill up very quickly. The reservation system for Pacific Rim National Park opened up about a week ago, and Mickey was online right away. I think they opened up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she was online right away, and within 10 minutes we still couldn't get any of the long weekends, any of the prominent weekends, a lot of other people. The place was already full. We did manage to get some time a little bit later, and we're looking forward to that. So that'd probably be the only negative thing I would say about Pacific Rim campground is that it just gets really busy. But you're nicely located between Ucluelet, and so there's rough, rugged coastline in Ucluelet, and there's some small hikes there, and then you're only about a 15-minute drive from the small community of Tofino, which is kind of a funky West Coast style. If you like to surf, it would definitely be a place to go. Actually, our top two are kind of a tie, so 1 and 2 could actually be either way around. And for us, Banff was just amazing. The scenery was spectacular. The mountains, there's rivers. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And it's just such a special area, and we weren't able to enjoy it as much as we could have because Mickey, as you may recall if you looked at our video from Banff, had suffered an injury to her ribs, so our hiking was kind of limited there to just kind of average tourist trips wandering around. But even that was beautiful, and it was very nice, and we really enjoyed it.
It was a very stunning environment. There are mountains, spectacular mountains, just everywhere you looked. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, we commented in our video every time as we were driving, every corner we went around, we were just even that much more surprised at how beautiful it was. So from the pros aspect, it was the scenery, lots of great hiking trails. Like, we're keen to get back there and enjoy some of the hiking trails. I think the only negative things for us about Banff were, one, it's very busy, and we were there at the end of September. So it's a very busy area. It's a national park. And I think that if you went probably in the middle of summer, when it's probably the nicest time to enjoy it, you'd certainly find it crowded a bit. But I think if you went on some of the longer, a little bit more obscure hiking trails, I don't think you'd find too much in the way of crowds. It would just be the tourist spots that you'd see the crowds.
Generally, when we go hiking, once you get maybe about an hour into a trail, it just gets really quiet and nice. So.
Yeah, it's sort of that first 60 to 90 minute rule. If it's you're in at least 90 minutes, you're not generally going to run into a lot of people. The other thing about Banff that was not as positive for us was just simply where we camped, and it was beautiful, but the campsite was it was just basically a roadway with utility hookups on the side, surrounded by mountains, absolutely beautiful. But we also were in late September, and so many of the regular campsites weren't actually open. And so we stayed at one where we knew we could plug in because it was already starting to freeze in the evening, and we wanted to make sure that we could just keep the van that much warmer without running the furnace. There are many other campsites there that are open most of the rest of the year, or at least in the summer months, that could be a lot more rustic, and you get that bit more of a wilderness remote feel, which is something that we both enjoy. We like being camped in a spot where it feels just that little bit more remote, and it feels like you're a little bit more part of the wilderness. Having said that, the campsite has bus access. It takes you to trailheads to go hiking. There's buses that go to the trailheads to take you hiking, and it's probably only about a 15 to 20 minute walk into the town of Banff.
Yeah, you could easily walk, or it'll take you maybe 5 minutes to drive into town. So.
Yeah, or a 15-20 minute walk, which would be actually fairly pleasant. So we really enjoyed Banff. So that's our top 5. There's lots of trips that we could have, others we could have given honorable mention to. I don't think there's a trip we did that we really didn't enjoy. Each have their own attributes, and many of them we want to go back to, so that's a positive thing. Glacier may have made it to there, but we didn't actually get a chance to stay at Glacier Park. We actually were there for my birthday, and we did a hike on a rainy day, and that was spectacular. And I think Glacier would probably be one of our top spots if we'd have actually stayed overnight. You can hike right from there to go to a number of hiking trails.
Yeah, it's the Illecillewaet campground that actually has all the hiking trails at Glacier that start from that campground.
The other thing is, sometimes when we did a trip, the weather wasn't particularly cooperative, and that kind of affects, how you enjoyed it. So, for example, when we were at Lac Lejeune, it rained on us, and then it just about snowed on us. As a matter of fact, the snow level was only, less than 100 meters probably above us. So it was cold. The temperature here today is actually warmer than it was on the July long weekend when we were at Lac Lejeune. So, we'd like to go back there. But the weather does have a big impact on a number of the trips and how much we've enjoyed them. And Portugal Cove, where we're at now, is, if we were going to do an honorable mention, it would be on that list because it is our kind of getaway spot. It's a 45-minute drive from where we live. We get access to beautiful ocean. You can do some paddling. It's busy. It fills up. The reservation systems here are almost always full.
Especially on the oceanfront sites.
Yeah, it's very busy. There are, I think, 9 first come first serve sites, so there is an opportunity if you haven't got a reservation. But it's generally very busy here, and that's even in the winter and fall months. In the winter, you have electrical hookups, so you can, like we've got our heater plugged in, just makes things a little easier. But we've enjoyed all of our trips, and we hope you've enjoyed the videos that we've shared and that you've watched with us. Please, if you have any comments, thoughts, other trips that you'd like to see, please don't hesitate to send us a comment. We really do appreciate reading the comments, and we generally are able to respond to everyone.
And if you like our videos, please don't forget to subscribe.
And we can't finish a video without thanking our friends Michael and Jane for a couple of things. As part of our very thoughtful Christmas gifts, they bought Mickey and I each our hiking RV hats. I don't know if you can read that. And then they also gave us some outdoor mats that also say hiking RV in them, and we will they're from a local manufacturer on Granville Island. We'll try and put the name of the individual in the description below if you're interested in picking up some mats like that. But they're great because you put them outside and they're coarse enough to scrape off the rock and mud, and yeah, they look kind of cool too. So thank you again, Mike and Jane.
And thanks everybody for watching.